Hello, everybody. Surprise, surprise. It's during the day. Um, it's the Guru Mama. So, welcome, everybody. Like and subscribe. If you are on YouTube, please share it out. Got a few things to cover today. We are on the eve of a full moon, which is tomorrow or early in the morning. So, we have the full moon coming up. We also have Pluto will be going direct as of tomorrow. So a lot of energy is coming on in right now. Venus is 40 days, 40 nights. You can't see her in the sky at all. She does this every 9 months. And it's like a birthing process where she goes and she, becomes the evening star or the morning star. And now she's going to be becoming the evening star. That means that she's behind the sun. The sun will set. And then she will appear in the sky on the horizon. So in the west. So we have this, she rises in the east and sets in the west. Okay, there we go. Let's just get it straight, Mary. At least that's what I was taught. So lots to cover here with the astrology. Lots of information has come through. And a couple things, is with this, Mercury is off of the opposition to Neptune, which is good. So it might feel like we're going forward a little bit. I think when Pluto goes direct tomorrow and over the course of the week, we're really going to see things move very, very quickly in our world. Maybe, even within our own lives, things are going to be really opening up. And the thing is, the moon right now is in Pisces. So the thing is with the moon in Pisces, don't fuck with things. Don't try and provoke a argument with someone. This is where it is not, this is going to bring up a lot of insecurities and stuff over the next couple of days for people. So you'll be feeling those insecurities. So really, try and don't become the victim or fall into that victimhood, because the energies really want to pull you forward and really, okay, what do I need to focus on? What are the things I need to be doing right now? And that's going to have to be the priority as you go forward. And in doing that, you're not going to be sucked into the narrative, because as Pluto goes forward, it's like ripping off the Band-Aid, and all of these truths come through. And then all of a sudden, all of the people who've been lying or have been deceitful are still going to try and stay in that narrative, are going to try and stay there. Because truth is coming in, and they don't want the truth to be coming in. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to see the truth. And that could be within your own personal life as well. And I know my life is never dull. I'll just say that. There's always something crazy happening in my life. Or unfolding. And especially this year. This year is a year of things unfolding. And there were secrets that were revealed that I was not really shocked about, kind of knew about, but, didn't pay much attention to. And now it's up for that person to deal with repercussions. Let's get the words right. I cannot speak well. I am still drinking my coffee, so let me have a sip of their actions. So you're going to see that people are going to have to take, instead of taking the victimhood, they're going to have to really work on the peace and balance within their lives. And little things might come up for you as well, that, maybe there's, we all have hidden things in our closet. There's always something hiding behind the curtain for all of us. And this is where it's looking at what's behind the curtain, and how can I embrace it? How could I really work on this part for myself so that I can heal, so I can bring in the peace and balance? and look at what is really toxic. What are these toxic items that are coming in, and how do I deal with it? And that's really going to be important over the next coming months. I found it, I mentioned that I knew something would be happening to our PM because of his chart. Like, his chart is going to be hit hard. There's a lot of things happening for him. And I think with this Pluto going forward, because he is a Capricorn, a Christmas Day baby, in fact, that there is a lot of unveiling that is going to be happening with him as well. So, and at first I didn't know if it was sickness, but it could be, sickness can be in many different forms, right? So there's many different types of sicknesses. So something coming up with him. And so this is really also where people might be feeling neurotic, a little craziness coming in. So it's a grounding, it's a centering for us at this time. And I know with Pluto going forward tomorrow is really going to change our lives. And I read a post and someone said, well, Mercury's gone forward. And I'm saying, yeah, but Mercury, the thing I love TikTok and TikTok astrologers and that, because they don't look at the whole factor of everything else. Sure, Mercury might be going forward, but did you talk about what it's doing to the opposition? It was opposite Neptune for the last while. Now it's trining, Pluto. So what does that mean? And that's the whole thing. It's like when you are doing astrology or you're looking at it, it's like you have to, it's like when you look at the chart, there's layers that you have to look at, not just particularly one planet and say hooray, because hooray, but then we got Pluto going forward. Saturn is still squared, Uranus is coming into that square with Uranus. So what does that mean? Right? It's still unknown. Changes are happening, but they're still unknown exactly how things are going to be unfolded for us all, because Uranus is the planet of unexpectancy. The other thing that I learned today, and I love learning new things about astrology, and we'll go back to 2020 with the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto, was where the sun was at that time as well. So with that conjunction, the sun was there, and then the Mercury, we'll go back to Mercury. Mercury went into Pisces, where it retrograded, and that was where the spell was cast. And we were also talking that in 2021, where Saturn was going to be squaring, Uranus, and that was going to be bringing in some experimental, something unknown. The thing is that with the sun and where it was in Capricorn, that has a lot to do with the brain. So we're seeing, and with everything that is unfolding with us, there's a lot that's going on about the brain, about, not only mental disorders, but things because of the elixir, and evidence and information is all coming out about this, on how it has affected people's brains. And that how, when people have taken things like Ativan and now my brain just might affect the brain, and now my brain just is like different stimulant drugs, that they are ones that are not going to be affected. So that could be people who are smoking, people who drink coffee, tea, things along that line. Everything that they've been coming out now, and they're trying to get people to stop. One thing is like, I know smoking's bad and everything else, but, the whole push about smoking, but it's a stimulant, right? Or even coffee. And this is where you're going to hear and see a bigger push for people to stop all of these stimulants, stop all of these type of foods, and because they know that within this energy, that it does affect the people and how they think, and it does affect the brain, and it really helps to continue the stimulation. And we're seeing many who are stars like Justin Bieber and many others who've canceled their tours because they're unable to continue their tour. And we're finding also that with a lot of studies in that are coming in, is that the brain, or people having, more depression, more mental illnesses and stuff like that are going to be coming out as well. So these are the things that are unfolding for over the next several months, and it's over the next year, because they're trying to bring out a new elixir. We're not hearing too much about it, but then they are wanting to put the mRNA in the flu vaccine. So we're going to be seeing these types of things, and this is all a part of the experiment. This is all a part of, I'm going to call it the mind control, all a part of everything. It's easy to, if you're dumb and stupid, then it doesn't, then you're not really paying attention. It's like sometimes as a mom, you don't really want to pay attention to everything that your adult children are doing, right? And so you want to be blinded to, you want to blind yourself to the things that they're doing, even though you know that that's what they're doing. But is that the best thing that you should be doing? Right? So the government would rather have you be blind and stupid, even though you know what they're doing, but you're just like, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter. But does it really? So this is an awakening too that's coming forward, that you have to awaken to what is being shown, what is coming forward. Because some of the things that, in the last week that, we suspected, and everything that we saw is just like, it's mind-blowing that these things are happening in more ways than one. And that's why I always tell people, do your research. Don't just believe because the mainstream news says this, or my boss said this. Look it up. I work at Starbucks. You all know that now. I work at Starbucks. So, I have my little Starbucks thing. Anyways, the thing is, where one person said, well, this person said, this is how we make this drink. And I said, did you look at the recipe card? Because the recipe card tells you the truth of how you're supposed to be making the drink, because that is the standard, right? But you're going by because this person said, and they must know, and, because they're the teacher or whatever. I don't give a fuck if you're the teacher. I don't give a shit. I want to question you because I have a question. And many of you, or even including me, when we're younger, we get shut down. So we don't ask those questions. We're scared to ask those questions. We might offend somebody. But this is a time of asking, where did this come from? How did this happen? The more we start to ask questions, the more you start to understand, saying, oh, okay, my intuition was right. I'm trusting my intuition. I'm trusting my gut and my guidance, my divine guidance that God has given me. Because I know I'm going in with my Christ consciousness. I'm going in with that energy, and that is going to keep me in the light and keep me from the craziness that's unfolding around me. And we're starting to see a lot that's happening, and the chess game is begun. Well, it has begun for a while, but we're seeing who's siding with who. We're starting to see the divisions of who's siding with who. And sometimes it's very slight and it's very small, but you really got to pay attention. Now, God bless everybody who put up the Ukraine flag, but have you done your research on the Ukraine history and what Zelensky's trying to do? Have you looked at that? Have you looked at his last speech and what he wants to do? Russia hasn't even used its full force. I'm just going to throw that out. He hasn't even used all of his force, or even brought fully his army to the force. And that's where I say, go in and use your history. I'm not a Zelensky fan. I'm not a Putin fan. I'm a peace fan. And I'm like, if somebody's saying, well, in order for us to do things, then let's just bomb Russia. Are you fucked in the head? I am sorry. But Putin is not a stupid man. He's an ex-KGB. He's an ex-lawyer. He knows shit. He's very strategic. He's not exactly an upstanding, moral standing man. No, but I don't think Zelensky is. I don't think Trudeau is. I don't think Putin is. And certainly not the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. She is one who will press that fucking button. Now, this is where we have to start utilizing our brains, looking into it. Did you know in 2014 and even before that, the Rothschilds, oh God bless them, patented the tests for the COVID. Oh, well, that's an upstanding family. I really trust the Rothschilds. They're going to save me. This is why I said when Saturn is squaring Uranus, shit is going on and things will slowly come out and be revealed. And that's where some people will just, again, say, Mama, I don't want to listen to you because you're negative, you're this. No, I want you to awaken. I want you to come to your light. I don't want you to just be a fucking sheep that goes and follows everything that's being said. They didn't know what would happen to you if you took the elixir. They had no idea. Now, people you're going to see in the next year dropping dead because, and they won't know why. The increase in deaths in Alberta has risen above normal. You are going to see that more, and especially when Pluto goes into Aquarius, God help us. That's high death rates. We have to awaken. Did you know if nobody took the elixir that the COVID would be gone? What? That you never, ever vaccinate in the middle of a pandemic? You wait for it to run its course, then give you a elixir that is the same thing as what was going on so that the new variant can come in and fuck you over and do something worse for you? For those who have taken the elixir, I'm going to say you better get on a very good holistic diet. Because what they had in there is not nice. And more of that's coming out because they had to take Pfizer to court for them to realize, to admit everything that was in the shot. And this is like, holy shit. Now they're looking into and discovering and trying to create, tests on what happens when a vaccinated and unvaccinated person gets together. What happens to the unvaccinated person? Crazy shit is coming out. This is the awakening. This is like, wow. Holy fuck, man. We need to start looking at it. Because right now, I know I've talked to a few people and they're like, well, I trust in my system that this is going to happen and this. I'm just like, well, I'm sorry. That spike protein that they put into your body is actually destroying your immune system. And it'll eventually destroy it more. And what about blood transfusions as well? That's the other thing. That's why they say store your own blood. Sounds like Dracula. But that is all part of the huge mind control that is coming in. Right now, underneath the ground, there has been leaked pictures under the ground of Manhattan in New York. Huge systems, military systems that are being built and going through the Ukraine. Now, if you think it's not only the Ukraine, it's in many other places in the world too. Cities are being built underneath the ground at this time. Why? Why would billionaires and politicians be doing that? And what are they trying to promote and push at this time? Awaken. And I found it kind of funny, that the Russian submarine that they say went missing. It's a submarine. Of course it's going to go missing. It goes underground, goes underwater. It's called Poseidon. Poseidon. As Jupiter is going into Pisces, and his brother's name is Poseidon, Neptune in Pisces. What does Pisces control? water, all water, storms. So here we are. We are in a time of craziness, unveiling, mixed up with evil exploding like fireballs everywhere. It feels like one of those little Pokemon shows that my grandson watches, and one of them shoots these fireballs out. And it's like pew 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 pew, and all these little Pokemon are these are firing these little things out into the atmosphere, and it has to be contained. But this is where we have to come in and not become into the victim mentality. We are defined. We are not defined by being the victim. We are not defined by that of our mentality. We are defined by our strength and our courage and our love. And that is what we need to strive for. That of the shit that happens to us is the road that we are walking, and part of what this earth walk is all about. And it is so crucial and important for us to go into our courage, to come into our love, to come into that Christ consciousness and into that light, surrounding ourselves by the royal blue and the powers of love. It is a constant thing each and every day. And coming into forgiveness. Forgiveness is a huge one. And sending blessings out to the world, even to the ones you don't love. That is the crucial thing for this world right now. It's it's crazy. Right now, I think it was in the UK, or no, Australia, they had the government got hacked, or some kind of hacking. But in doing so, within a few days afterwards, now they're wanting to change the whole system so that they can keep better track of everybody, so that they don't get hacked again, and your stuff is going to be safe. Oh, really? That's kind of weird. So even, governments are going to make crises happen, so that they can make the changes that they need to make. But this is the thing. They work for us. They're accountability for us. We think that we cast our vote or don't cast our vote. No, well, what can I do? It's just life. It's nothing. It's getting involved in your community. It's finding out who is in charge of your community. It is the grassroots. And looking at the grassroots of things to come. Now, right now, it's the, other things that are going on, and I know it's like I feel like I'm becoming a newscaster too. It came out that OPEC is cutting oil productions by 2 billion barrels. Yet they're pushing electric cars, but when the Hurricane Ian, which I'm kind of thinking that's kind of weird, Hurricane Ian happened just before the election and in this time. Anyways, I'll leave it up for you to figure that one out. That electric cars, because of the salt water, caught on fire. And right now there is, in Europe, passed today, a full stream of the cryptocurrency rules. So there's going to be huge new rules on the cryptocurrency, on what's going to be happening with that as well. So we're seeing things like these reins are trying to tighten up and trying to tighten up. They're trying to push an electric vehicle. Now, if anybody doesn't know how an electric plant runs, it does need fossil fuels. Yet we're cutting back on the fossil fuels, but we want you to drive an electric car. Why would they do that? It wouldn't be that they would want to control who would be driving. And how often they would be driving. Do you think they would do that? Think about it. So, so we have this that is going on. And this is the awakening that's happening, right? We have to think. And the other part, too, is like, I'm going to say it, the housing market's going to crash. I know people, it's like, you thought 2008 was bad, it's going to be worse. So if people, like, the thing is going to happen is, like, people are going to say, oh, I bought a $2 million house, or let's go. I bought a house for 500,000 or maybe 300,000, and it crashes, and now you're stuck with a $300,000 mortgage or a $500,000 mortgage, whatever it is, and your house has been reduced down to 200,000 or less. It's great for other people who want to come in and scoop it up, but it's not great for the person who's holding the mortgage, because you are still paying that 300,000. Yet you won't get the money back out of your house. So this is where it's like, also really be wise with your money at this time. It's important to be wise with your money at this time, because craziness is going to happen more at the banks. The banks are going to be really putting a crunch on things. They changed the rate for credit cards today. So what they're trying to do is get people to stop spending. And what happens when people stop spending? That means businesses go under. When businesses go under, that means people are out of work. When people go out of work, that means that there's high unemployment, price down, great for corporations, horrible for the individual, which is called a deflation. And the actions are the process of the deflating or being deflated. So that's high unemployment and prices going down. They've done this before. And that's what the UN wants to start to, has put out, that they want to put a price freeze on everything. When did they do this the last time? Oh, right, in the 30s? In the 70s? Oh my God. You would think people would learn, but of course they don't. They don't do their history. They failed history. So we're in a time that we really have to look at being conservative within our own selves and what we do and how we are streamlining our energy and where we want to go, and staying within our lane, staying within your lane. Don't try and deviate and go over here because you think it's prettier. No. Don't do that, please. Stay in your lane and trust your light. Your divine light, your divine God and Goddess is there and trying to guide you. Call it in. Beautiful time to call in your ancestors. Hey, you know what? They lived through this shit. Call them in. So calling your ancestors, especially the one that you knew that was kind of smart, because you might have some dumbass ancestors. You don't want to call them in. You want to call in the smart ancestors. So the ones that you think, oh, hey, Uncle Johnny had it right. He did this. All right, Uncle Johnny, I'm going to call upon your spirit to help and guide me. Uncle Frank, no, you are an alcoholic and an ass. No, we're not going to call Uncle Frank because we might go on, on a different road that we don't want to go on to. So call in Uncle Johnny. So call in the ancestors that you know could get you through. There could be an ancient one. I have an ancestor that I just feel her presence. And her name was Jane O'Brien. And she's, O'Brien, okay, she's Irish. But she came in from the 15th, the 16th century. She became American. But I feel her energy because what we know about her is that she was a kick-ass woman. She knew how to work things. Like, she was a devout Catholic and she became a Protestant, but still kept her Catholicism deep inside in what she felt to be true for her. But, and then later converted back to being Catholic because all the Merricks were Catholics. In that, but still, having that understanding of, she understood how with the Protestant religion and the Catholic religion, she understood what they were, so she knew how to talk the talk. That's what I feel. But, so bringing in, there could be an ancestor that if you've done your ancestral line and you might find, oh yeah, okay, this person really relates to me. I don't know why, but I'm drawn to that energy. Find out and maybe do some research on it. I mean, this is October. This is where, we're coming into All Hallows Eve. So this is a time of connecting with the ancestors. This is a time of connecting with those who've passed. So this is, really doing that and helping to guide you. The more you call in, the more you work on this, the more things come into your alignment, And I find that when people are just, I don't know, I'm going to call them Sunday spiritualists that only do it on their Sundays, are not really truly in that alignment. And that's the other thing, is that you're going to find a lot of spiritualists coming out that they haven't done the work. They haven't done, what they needed to do. They just sort of hooked on to something and made a leap and tried to bypass everything so that they can have the fame. So there's a lot that are coming out that are doing that have not really done the full work. And here again, you got to trust your intuition with that. I know a lot of people get pissed off with me because I speak truth. They don't like it when I bring out these stats. They don't like it when I tell you that the Rothschilds have a patent on the COVID tests. Like, I've never taken a COVID test, and I never will take a COVID test. I will not get elixired. Never. I don't give a shit. But that's because I'm following what I know what is true. And I said 2 years ago, wait, hang on, the truth is going to be revealed. But a lot of people jumped on, well, I got to live my life, I got to do this. But living your life and 5 years later and you drop fucking dead? Or you end up with an illness, an odd cancer? Cancer's not fun. And that's the whole thing. It's like, when you're trying to tell a teenager not to do something, but it's like, oh, we had to do it in the moment. And then their whole life gets blown up because they did some dumbass shit because they didn't listen. That's what I feel the world did. The world did some dumbass shit because they didn't want to listen to some of the experts that were really coming out, that were being banished for coming out with the truth because of this. Being so afraid if we stand up and say something, oh my God, we won't have... If everybody stood up and said something, what? What are they going to do? Fire all the doctors and nurses? Then what? That's why there's so many protests right now. Protests in Iran. Protests still in Denmark. They're still out there. You don't hear about it, but they are, because they're standing up for the truth. And that's what we have to do. That is what the light does. And sometimes it's because the darkness can wiggle their way in because they sound so good and they're so flashy, and it just seems like the best thing to do, and all the common sense and everything else within that person just goes away. It happens to us all. It does. Things just seem so much better over there, and it's so much easier if I don't know shit. Is it? It would be so much easier if I didn't understand all of astrology. Would it? Education is key. Education is what makes change. There's such power in this world and such beauty in this world that we need to tap into each and every day. And know that you might think, oh, this isn't going to do anything. But maybe lighting that candle, using that incense, bringing that crystal. Wow. Fucking power in that is unbelievable. Putting this into my cleaner when I clean my house. Oh, I'm going to add this, I make my own floor wash and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I make this. And then I add it into my cleaners when I clean in my house. That adds in that protection, that adds in that peace within my home. Other people say, it doesn't do anything. Well, okay, maybe not to you, but it does to me. Saging, lighting the candles, bringing the crystals. I mean, you look behind me. Oh, well, I got the crystals here. I got crystals here. I got to show you this one crystal. I probably showed this before. This one here. This crystal, Owen dug out of my backyard in Penticton. He dug out many in the backyard. They were used as anchors in the backyard in this house that I used to live. They were buried by a shaman. And this is quartz crystals and calcite. And I couldn't take them all, but some of them are big, huge. And this thing is about 5 pounds, 3 to 5 pounds. It's heavy. And he dug them all out, and that's still the dirt in there. Could never get it all cleaned. I guess it would take time, but to clean it. But the power of this crystal's gone with us everywhere. In every move, it's always ended up with us. But it has such power within it, right? And I can feel like, the shaman, when he, who lived in that house before we lived into it, it was our last house we lived in Penticton. When Owen dug this all up, released a lot of shit. And there was an iron gate around the house too, so that didn't help either. So to say the least, we didn't end up staying there very much longer after he dug everything out. But he was just little at the time. He was in grade 1. So I think he was like 5 or 6 when he did this. And he thought it was he dug up gold. Well, he did. He dug up gold in a sense that, it was very spiritual gold. But anyways, the reason I'm bringing it up is you don't think these things have power. But when you put your intent into them to come in to love and protect your home, your family, your finances, your health, it is so, so important. So important. There's a reason, if you've ever gone into a Catholic church, just an FYI, if you ever gone into a Catholic church, the funny thing about a Catholic church, people go into these churches all over the world, like Notre Dame and all through Ireland and Scotland and Rome. And, anytime anybody goes in there, it doesn't matter you believe or you don't believe. They're like, oh, I feel such peace here. Why? Because it's cleansed all the time. It's cleansed. With frankincense and myrrh, they bring in the holy water. Have you ever gone into a temple, a Muslim temple? They do the same thing. It's a sacred spot. You go in there and you're like, oh, why is this so peaceful? And the prayers, there's constant prayers going on. Whether you believe in it or not, it's power. These places have power. Years ago, there was a giant fire, a horrendous fire in the Okanagan Valley. And it was hit West Bank, or West Kelowna, as they call it now. And this one house was the only house in the neighborhood that did not get burned. She feng shuied her whole house. She put crystals outside. This is where they moved in. Her husband thought she was bonkers, but whatever. She anchored her house. She put crystals in the corner and things like that. She had the copper rods and everything else. That was the only house that the firemen could not believe the flames jumped over. They might have had some smoke damage, but everybody else's house in the neighborhood was burnt down. But her house wasn't. That's the power I'm talking about. And we all have that power. When this shit is going on, it's evil. The Rothschilds are evil. Biden's evil. All of those guys are evil. Trudeau. I'm not going to put Putin, Lewinsky. They're not like, oh yeah, these are buddy. They got there in a certain way. They didn't get there by picking roses. That's for damn sure. So this is where we come in, and this is why it's always the grassroots. It's always the grassroots. It's not the top. It's not the top of the tree. It is the roots of the tree, which is us, that create the growth, that create the positivity and create the love in amongst the world going crazy. So you have to do things for yourself and for your family. One of the things that I've been telling you guys about, and this is the product that I've been telling you about, this is what the government has been buying up. This is the product. You will see other potassium iodines out there, and I don't promote products very often, but this is the product. This package lasts 7 years. This is not to protect you from radiation. It protects your thyroid in case of a radiation fallout. Okay? That's what it does. I've never been more serious about this, but this is one of them. So there's so much. So anyways, Canadian Prepper. You can Google Canadian Prepper. He's on YouTube and everything else. He's been selling it. I don't know how much he has left, but I know it's. I know he could only get a certain amount because he knows the supplier, and the supplier says, well, the governments have been buying it all out, so this is as much as I'm allowed it to sell to other, to sell it. And that's the same thing that happened when I worked at Canadian Natural Foods, is that we were only allowed it so much because the government bought the rest. So this is what the governments have, and this is what they're passing out right now to people in Poland. So if you're able to get it, it's $54, I'd say between $50 and $60 for a package. It's expensive. But once you have it, you have it. Okay? So that's it's a thyroid blocking in the radiation emergency only. Potassium iodine that you buy from other products are not formulated the same way. Just an FYI. Okay? So that's the product that I was telling people about. So take a look at it. This is probably going to get censored too. So just an FYI to anybody out there. So maybe you want to save this for later. The other thing that I thought was kind of funny, is you'll be seeing this on little memes coming out, but it's called the mRNA hamburger. The mRNA hamburger. And that's because they are starting to, all your beef, your pork, your chickens are all going to be immunized with mRNA. And you're going to start seeing that more coming out in the new year. So this is where, again, support local, support your local farmer, support your local, food markets and things like that. That's going to be a very important thing coming forward, especially next year. So as we're going into next year is going to be where you're really going to feel the crunch of not being able to afford things. That's where the crunch is going to come in, is really next year. So the last few years is me prepping you, getting you ready for the big bang that's coming forward. So I know with Pluto going forward and starting tomorrow, we're going to start seeing a lot more craziness that are going on. And FYI, Putin has an astrologer on staff. So does the King of England. And a lot of have an astrologer on staff, just to let them know. So it's all within how they use the interpretation and the energy. So I thought it was kind of funny as Jupiter was getting closer to going into Pisces, that's when Poseidon went missing. So yeah, because they know as above, so below. They know these things. So they take things under advisement. Every king and every queen has always had some astrologer or somebody on staff. Even Queen Elizabeth II was really big on that, on having an astrologer on staff. So, this is where, hey, a planet does what a planet does, and it has a history of what it does at a certain degree. So, and that's what's going on right now. It has history there. And when these two people meet, when these two planets meet, this is what happens. So this is why, and a lot of people say, oh, that's crazy. Well, it might be crazy, but how come it happened here and it happened here and it happened here and it happened here? This is history. So stay in your light, stay in your love. For those who are getting their full moon readings, the full moon readings will be coming out later on today, and they will be coming out tomorrow. So stay tuned for all of that, and have a blessed one, everybody. And we will talk to you soon. Blessed be. Bye-bye, everyone.